innovation, entrepreneurship, and exclusiveness, and reimagining and catalyzing growth for a sustainable tomorrow. I will be remiss if I don't conclude by personally thanking the Honorable Minister for the extraordinary support, for the extraordinary good wishes that he has conveyed to all of us and that he has demonstrated through his actions. He has been a huge supporter of CII Telangana at least during my tenure in the last 12 months, and not just a supporter through words, but more importantly through supporter through action. I will conclude by saying we are privileged to have him as our Minister for IT and Industries, and it is therefore our responsibility to make sure that we do the right things to make Telangana, Bangaru Telangana, and really further accelerate the growth that we're seeing in various industries, the growth that we're seeing in various sectors, and make Telangana not just one of the top states in the country, but the top state in the country. With that, thank you very much, Ram, for all the support and all the help that you've provided. May I now welcome everybody once again to the public session of CII Annual Day. Thank you. May I now invite Mr. B. Rambabu, the Executive Director and CTO of Pranava Group, for his remarks, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and respected dignitaries on the stage. Sri K.T. Ramarao Garu, Honorable Minister of IT, Industry and Urban Development, Government of Telangana. Sri Jayesh Ranjan Garu, Principal Secretary, and Dr. Rakesh Mishra Garu, Satish Raman Garu, Krishna Vadanapu Garu, and Samir Goel Garu. Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I really thank CII Next for inviting me to this phenomenal event and conference and for giving me this opportunity to say a few words on this occasion. And also my heartfelt congratulations and best wishes to CII for playing a very vital role in these pandemic situations, as earlier speakers mentioned, really utilized these particular pandemic situations by leveraging the capability of digital innovations, by organizing interesting seminars and really encouraging the industry and also being a bridge between industry and government and across the industries. So when it comes to today's topic, reimagining and catalyzing growth for a sustainable tomorrow, I think even this is also a very good step by CII for choosing a right topic in the right time. And we can reimagine and catalyze this growth for a sustainable tomorrow only together, that could be individuals, organizations, private and public sectors. So I think as we can see there, United Nations has set various sustainable development goals, 17 SDGs has set, and that can be achieved. They have said that it can be achieved by 2030 with the collaboration across all the regions, locally, regionally, nationally, internationally. So in that context, I believe we can say having a sustainable cities and communities, industry, innovation and infrastructure that can only be implemented and really in real time with the collaboration with all the parties involved. And that can really lead to a prosperity of our society that can make this planet a better place to live in. Well, a lot of goals. I know as we've seen in the earlier slide, there are very huge number of goals have been set by for a sustainable living, and but that cannot be possible so easily. And so for that, I think it sounds very complex, but that can also be possible with a right set of attitude and mindset. So just I wanted to share a small story here with all of you. Maybe you might have already seen this actually. I read a news item on recently, last year, incident where a student of 7th or 8th class student called Forest Department's toll-free number at 4 o'clock in the morning, complaining that his, next to his house, there is a big tree has been cut down, and he complained about it. And then, really delighted to know that respective Forest Department really responded, and they investigated, and they penalized with 62,000 rupees penalty. So, which was a remarkable thing, which maybe in olden days, maybe we don't imagine that's possible. So that was possible because of the government initiatives. I think I can see one thing is that here the boy's gesture, and in my view, the way his thought process might have developed with the way how he has been raised, and also the learning from the society. That society has been formed with the various initiatives by the government, like Haritaharam, Telangana Ku Haritaharam initiatives, and a lot of advertisements, a lot of billboards and social media, various promotions has been kept him, maybe more awareness about the sustainability purpose, real requirement of the greenery environment across to protect the planet. So I really say in this way, government roles always plays a key role, but even people involvement and participation plays really to keep it successful in the long term. And that's a classic example to say, together we can reimagine and catalyze growth for a sustainable tomorrow. And just on this note, I would like to give a small example from my friend's personal life, actually. So, when I was in UK, my neighbor friends actually had 2 trees in backyard. So, though he's the owner of the house and he has the trees, but he cannot cut those trees. There's a ash and oak tree, and because when he bought a house, he got a documentation for his house. Along with that, he got a special documentation from the government saying about those 2 trees he cannot touch. Even though they disturb whatever it is, doesn't matter. Only the council has to cut it down. So such a really remarkable, like it's a tree protection order or tree preservation order. So it's really making the government policies, but only that will be successful only with the people involvement and understanding and respecting the intent of the particular initiatives. So that's why I'm trying to refer earlier example with the boy who has really done. And also, just on this note, I would like to mention this particular sustainability for tomorrow can be possible with innovation, with various types of industries, as is the right platform with a combination of all types of industries are present here, the owners and industry leaders and experts present here. Where construction industry, as we see, this is as we are from construction industry, just I would like to touch base about a single word, because this particular industry really facilitates, as you have seen 17 goals, you need to equality and justification and education across availability opportunities. So construction industry gives an opportunity to all types of all types of skill set people that could be a skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. It is a very special industry which can really influence the economical and financial growth of a particular country or a nation. And like this, every industry has its own importance to build the sustainable world for tomorrow. So I think also on this note, I would like to emphasize, I'm really impressed with the one initiative by government of Telangana on, like actually for constructing a Bangaru Telangana to build, to make a reality, Bangaru Telangana, like have taken as part of, they have really defined a framework, clear framework, how these SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, can be achieved via institution called Murray Chenna Reddy HRD Institute, where it really have set up the various parameters, the framework, clear goals, and that goals are set and target has been defined for the various industries, and there is a clear-cut, target-oriented, and the definition has been set. That's really, I think, which is aligning with the United Nations, but to the state level and also to the local and regional industry level, if at all that message really crosses, everyone can really make, if not all 17 goals, probably couple of goals we can achieve that. So just on this occasion, just I would like to move on to, if at all in the similar lines, just moving on, right in this neighborhood where we are meeting today, we have Pranava Group, as we are constructing a sizable venture called One Hyderabad. And that is, I'm sure it's going to become a one iconic building in Hyderabad, because we are coming up with some kind of innovative and interesting, a way of elevations, etc. And because as we see, as part of apartments, as part of the progressive development, we had to really go to the apartment culture. But however, we cannot stop, it needs to go hand in hand. So as part of this evolution, we have taken and we have really rethought about it to build and contribute for this particular context and come up with a vertical gardens and green building concept. And we also certified IGBC Platinum pre-certified. So on this moment, what I'm trying to convey is that though we have the reality is very challenging, but still with right set of attitude or something, incentives, things we can really make it happen. And I'm really happy to say also bring another context. Actually, Mr. KTR Garu has emphasized in one of the CREDAI Expo in a couple of years ago, saying Hyderabad, construction industry and real estate people maybe have to improve on the elevations of the building. So in that context, my brother, Mr. Ravi Kumar Burugu, who is the founder and chairman of Pranava Group, has really taken very seriously and come up with some kind of one of the special elevations which can really bring some newness to the Central Hyderabad. We would like to we have taken a refresh the profile of the Central Hyderabad, because as it really has a relevance, because as we are getting new assembly and secretariat, many things are coming, but it is the right time for really refreshing the profile of the Central Hyderabad, wherein all kinds of amenities can be available. So at this stage, maybe I would like to really say once again, as a collaboration between all parties, individuals, and government and industries, everyone together, industry experts, I think we can build a sustainable world for tomorrow. Thanks for giving this opportunity once again. Thank you.
Can I now request Mr. Rakesh Mishra, the Director of CCMB, for his address, please?
Honorable Minister Shri KTRji, CII dignitaries on the dais and industry friends, it's an exceptional privilege for me to come and speak in front of this kind of gathering, which is not usual for me. But I think it reflects also the relevance of the new changes, new movement that is happening after this terrible pandemic. I'm saying after this terrible pandemic, although we are yet to reach that point. But I think the people like you are now going to play extremely important role when we are going to recalibrate many activities, many things, including the healthcare, which is the domain in which we work. And in many aspects of the healthcare, in the sense, the system, the industry, the new perspective that now is there for science and society, that science is much more useful in immediate requirement than we were thinking before. And another important thing that has emerged, which you are all going to play important role, is in the self-reliance of many things that we had become comfortable or complacent that even importing of those things can be all right. But we have seen that it can be even a national security issue at some times. The technology is that in 1 year, the kinds of changes that have taken place, the kind of constraints that we have gone through, has opened so many things, uncovered so many hidden abilities, possibilities, and talent in the society. That is just unbelievable what has happened. And I think this is the time to put into the proper use and take the momentum, the catalysis that has happened. This pandemic has really propelled a very unusual, very highly, more or less, you can say, indispensable requirement for the innovation and indigenization of things that we were not thinking before. So, for instance, during the early time of the pandemic, when we hardly had anything within the country to do the testing that was so crucial, which still is, but the only difference from them and now is now there is no limitation of testing resources. Most of the ingredients are now manufactured internally, and there is no shortage of testing kits. And that has happened because many entrepreneurs have responded to the need of the hour. They have worked beyond the regular limitations and really have delivered something which we will be very proud of. Most of the things like PPEs that were being imported, now India is one of the exporters of those. Many of these numbers and things I am not there to tell. You are far more informed about those things, but I'm just talking about the basic changes that have taken place. I'll just give a couple of examples from the small laboratories like CCMB, where as the pandemic came in, our students came and said that we use this virus in the lab, we do experiment with them. Now we will do the testing, we will grow the virus in the lab, and we will do experiment with this. And will help finding ways of, better ways of detection, better ways of assaying the drugs and disinfectants and so on. That was amazing. These are not the people who are there as employees. They are there to do their PhDs, and they will go away after 4 or 5 years, most of them to other academic institutions abroad or sometimes in the industry. But that had really changed the whole scenario. These are the people who converted the labs into the testing laboratories, validation laboratories, repositories, and culturing the virus in the lab, so that we have been able to test over 100 new drugs and sanitation methods, which are now, and many of them are really, really promising, and many of them are with industry partners who are developing them further. These are students who could develop the methods to test where the method is cheaper, safer, and you have several-fold higher throughput with the existing infrastructure. And now those have been adopted by Apollo Hospital Group, by Spice Health, and Merrill Diagnostics. Many others are interested and converting them into business opportunities. We have gone even to the extent that we are developing a technique with the help of Syngene, which is a Biocon company, where 50,000 tests will be done in one go, and at as low a cost as 200 rupees. So I think in coming weeks, this will be available. And these are the opportunities, these are the capabilities that are coming, and they will exist even beyond the COVID. And you can test entire battalion, entire unit, entire locality in one go. And we have supported more than a dozen entrepreneurs and startups within our small facilities where new technologies have come. For example, one startup has developed a technique to test antibody test of this virus for less than 50 rupees at very large scale, and I'm sure it has been patented and soon it will reach the market. So these are the opportunities that are around, and when there is a requirement, when there is the need, then they come as a real established technologies and even commercializable things. Our students and with the help of sister institutions like ICT and NEERI, we have developed many new technologies during this period, which I'm saying this because you can see the potential of institutions, academia, which have a lot more to contribute, and they have to do this because they are public funded and it's their responsibility. But anything that happens in the lab has no meaning in terms of their implementation unless industry comes forward and take it. Because most people who develop these, they don't go beyond the boundaries of their institutions. So that methods like surveying using sewage system, the parasite load or the infection load in the city, air surveillance to find out how much of the virus is there in the air, then what we call as genomic surveillance, in which we can very carefully monitor if new variants are emerging anywhere and control it before it becomes a problem, which is extremely relevant in today's context. And even important thing is zoonotic surveillance, where we know that many of times parasites or viruses stay in the live in the wildlife, and if we interfere with wildlife, we encroach there, then we run the risk of bringing such pandemic kind of situation. We all know that this pandemic is outcome of our intrusion in the nature, and that's why there's something which is unusual has come into humans. And I was very happy to that this was amply emphasized in Mr. Rambabu's address, that we have to respect nature, and in his story I very impressed our society. That represents our future. That represents that we don't accept something which is not natural and which destroys our environment. That's something very inspiring and very interesting. I'll just make one more point, that in terms of new opportunities that are appearing, healthcare is going to be extremely important. It was very important. It's a major economic sector, but now, as we all know, that is going to be much, much more than that. And what revolution I would say has come is the example by which we are now ready to deliver vaccine to the society in less than 1 year of time. Till few months ago, even I was skeptical about it, that there will be no vaccine, for this pandemic. But 2 weeks before the first anniversary of when the test was first infection was detected in India, we had 2 vaccines available to us. That is something remarkable, and very, very proud of. We are very proud of the Hyderabad system, the industry, the pharma, and the environment that the government provides, the support that and encouragement that it gave to the industry, that you have one of the finest vaccine that is available, which is produced in Hyderabad. And this is actually much more than a vaccine. It only shows that we have reached the technology where as complex solution as vaccine, which takes 8 or 10 years to come, can be delivered within a year. And now there are even more sophisticated technology called RNA vaccine that can be produced in very small infrastructure in a building like this space, and this can be moderated or modified based on the requirement or the new variant within 2-3 weeks, and with the small testing it can go for the public use. So that is now a new way of handling the disease system, how to preventing, because vaccine is the best solution. Drugs will come when we get infected, but the vaccine can prevent that from happening. And this new openings, another important component is the regulatory system has become very responsive and sensitive, thanks to the pressure from the government and of course from the public, that many things have been made faster, and you can now get many approvals done within a very short period of time. That within a period of time, having all safety approvals from the lab, and then the phase 1, 2, 3 trials and vaccine available is something just remarkable. It's fantastic. So this unprecedented situation has given opportunities. It compelled us to work together, to work for indigenization, and many things are happening now. We are interacting with industry in very extensive way, and we are joining hands in a more proactive way with RICH, which most of you are aware of, which is bringing very, I will say, exceptional opportunity, exceptional networking for the big things to happen. And the things where we are involved in, ensuring the quality, so help large-scale production and help in quality maintenance so that the material that is made, I'm talking about healthcare and diagnostics items which are mostly, even water you will be surprised is imported for many of these tests. I mean, this is ridiculous. We can make this, but now is the requirement and there's a compulsion, and then industry has responded. In few months' time, we have started an activity with GATE Foundation and REACH and CCMB. In few weeks' time, actually, we are going to announce that every single component of kit that is used for most of the diagnostic will be made indigenously, and we'll be very happy to know it will be made in Hyderabad. So, I can't speak many details, but the mRNA vaccine that is produced by Pfizer, the essential components of this vaccine is supplied, exported from Hyderabad. I was so surprised that we are sitting here, but now we are aware of these things and we will put into use, and there is a requirement.